This segment is sponsored by iChiro. Do you find yourself struggling with balance, or maybe you've even had a recent fall? Well, Dr. Michael Kwast is here from iChiro Clinics to talk about addressing your balance challenges, and you may be focusing on the wrong body parts, right, Dr. Kwast?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff that everybody's learning as far as balance goes. One of the things we see is people don't know they have a balance problem until they fall, and then it's too late. So the challenge has been, how do we test people to find if they have a balance issue before they fall, and then do things about that? So we've got a test that's been around forever where you stand on one leg, you try to balance, close your eyes, and then continue to balance, and you see how you do. And if you don't do that well, your risk of falling is higher. And if you can do it well, your risk is lower. So the test is the first part. And it's pretty cool, some of the technology that's come out and how that works. And really your balance is determined by three things. It's your eustachian, not your eustachian tubes, but in your middle ear, your inner ear, you have your cochlea, your semicircular canals. Balance, everybody knows that can be impacted, especially in the cochlea. What people don't realize is that's just one piece of the balance. The other piece comes from your vision, and the other piece comes from all the mechanoreceptors in your body. The mechanoreceptors tell your brain where you are in space. So for example, is my thumb up or down? It's up. How do I know? I can't see it. How do I know it's up? The receptors in there tell my brain where I am in space. And what happens, because these receptors are in the soft tissues of your body, when they get injured and strained and pulled, the receptors get messed up too. And then they don't send the right message, and you start thinking that, this is up, and it's not.
And is that how you get all crooked and stuff too, or that's just how you reorient your body and then lose your balance?
Yeah, so your body will then repattern its motion patterns to accommodate what it's perceiving. And that's where you'll see people have bad movement patterns, or you'll see people who have poor balance and different things, or they're hunched forward. That's like their body's adopted this new pattern. And we have to retrain that pattern, not only with the muscles and tissues through exercises and stretches, but you also want to repattern it through the neurologic pathway where those mechanoreceptors are involved. And that's some of the technology that we have actually stimulates that and helps repattern those patterns. And so you have different movement patterns developed, and we can improve on those, measure it, and then you see people perform better at whatever they're doing, whether it's balance, or a lot of sports require really good balance as well.
Yeah, sure. Talk a little bit more about the repair of the problem and the technology that you have access to.
Yeah, so when those receptors aren't working properly in the muscles and tissues, we can actually measure that with some of these tests, like the balance test I just explained. But then some of the tech we have actually will stimulate those mechanoreceptors, and it resets those. And so by resetting it, your brain then becomes aware. It's kind of like your GPS when you're driving your car around, and you turn, and then your car says recalculating, right? Your brain, when we re-stimulate these receptors, your brain will then be like recalculating, and it will recalculate the movement patterns that you have based on the mechanoreceptor input that we're changing, and getting those to fire more frequently and more often, and restoring that mobility, and then getting your brain to recalculate the pattern so it's perceiving your body in a more effective manner.
Got it.
It's very cool stuff.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about your book, because you have written a book. You have really dedicated your life and your career to making people aware of what they need to do to stay out of the rocking chair in later life, right?
Yeah, it's just really sad when you see people with all kinds of problems with their mobility and their function that could have been prevented. And when I talk to those people, they always say they wish they would have known more sooner. Like, no old person comes in and says that they regret taking such good care of themselves when they were younger. They never say that. They always wish they had done more every time.
Well, hold on your book, Dr. Kwast.
Yeah, so I mean, that's in the book, right? We got to get them copies of it. And here's what it looks like for the people, right? But it's challenging just to get people to understand how it works, because everybody wants to wait until there's a huge disaster and then try to do something. when it's actually better to be proactive, and then you don't have the problems. And then when you're old, you're still moving and doing stuff. And like, who doesn't want that?
Yeah, hit it on the front end. All right, you can learn more about iChiro or make an appointment for a visit at iChiroClinics.com. Dr. Kwast, thanks.
Thank you.